Hello traders, investors, and market enthusiasts. It's Zach from Trading Matrix, and in this video, I'd like to discuss Matrix penny stock pick for the month of February. In this video, I will outline the technical reasons as to why I believe a move from its current price of about 0.425 to $2 is one which is probable. I will outline a few options as to how it could play out technically. And towards the end of the video, I will touch on a few fundamental reasons that I believe support the technical side of the analysis. This month's pick is SPT, split payments. Before we look into the chart itself, I'd like to give some context on the analysis type and the theory behind it. I believe in wave theory. That is that markets move in cyclical patterns that are formed by large impulses that move on the y-axis and followed by corrections which move on the x-axis before continuing. So that being the impulse side of things and this being the corrective side of things. If you are able to identify these corrections correctly and time them well, you're able to enter the market at the cheapest possible price before capturing this impulsive move to the upside, which does usually move fairly quickly. For the past 5 years, I've been applying this theory consistently with consistent success in the Forex market and have recently delved into penny stocks. I see that the theory does hold well with what I've seen so far, and I'd like to put this into practice with this chart itself. Okay, so without further ado, let's take a look at SPT. There's a few corrective playouts, or there's essentially two main corrective playouts that I see, and we'll discuss them now. So we'll start off with the most simplest one, that being that the correction is actually complete and that we're about to start the upside. So I guess we can all see here just visually that, let me just get this across. Here we've got our impulse to the upside, and then we have a pullback which is denoted by these lower lows over here. So I'll go ahead and draw in a trend line. So this trend line is that one there. That's being the start of the impulse is about 0.285 with a move up to $2. If we were to call this the full pullback, I'd like to then actually draw the internals. So right here we have what's known as a contracting flat. This piece over here is a running flat, followed by one more running flat over here. What that actually forms within wave theory is what's known as a WXYXZ, which is a pattern, which is known as a pattern completion. Following this, we've actually had an impulsive break of this trend line. So if we've got an impulse, this is our correction, this is our following impulse, this is another correction. What we should see from here is another impulse out. This impulse in itself the first target would be to this high. If it was to go impulsively and continue to correct, we can expect trend continuation characteristics to break the previous top of $2. The current corrective piece that we could look at, or the current pullback that we see, we'll just move on to a 1 hour, is what's known as an ABC. So I'll label the B wave here. And the reason I'm calling this as an ABC is just using the use of MACD, which is a momentum indicator, which does exactly that, measures the momentum within the market. What we can see is that there's an imbalance between the momentum and price action. So price action is continuing to move downwards, whereas MACD is not following suit. So it's actually getting smaller or shrinking, and price action is going down. This imbalance is known as divergence. Divergence can mean two things. Either we're going to be reversing or we're going to see a larger correction play out. I'm looking at this as a reversal pattern because of where we are in the structure and what we could play out. So if this was to be the pattern play out, I also like to label the low This would hold true as long as we do not break this bottom trend line, so this bottom horizontal, sorry. Once we do, there is another play out that another possibility that could play out. But just finishing this possibility, if you're looking to trade this, what I'd suggest is either if your conviction is strong and you'd like to buy, you could get in now. Otherwise, I'd wait for some form of reversal, maybe up until this trend line to see a break. Wait for some sideways over here before this continues to go up. That would obviously add confidence that this is going to continue upwards. And depending on your personality, your style, you trade accordingly. So that would be the first pattern play out. That this is our impulse. This is the full correction. We have another impulse up to break that trend line. This is a following pullback, and we should see a move up very soon. The second play out is what I'll do is I'll actually clear all the drawings and we'll start again. That one may argue this piece over here is not the only, or is not to be by itself. It is actually part of a larger piece, which could be seen something like this, where this is the impulse down. We have a 1, 2, 3 correction. This is the following impulse down to break this low. And if that were the case, once we do break this low, once we do break this low, what you'll come to see is that we would have an immense amount of divergence between this impulse over here. So this whole piece, these lows, and this new low, if that were to be the case. What that would suggest is that we again have an ABC. So this will be our A, this will be our B, this will be our C. And once we've broken this low, we would see a reversal to break the trend line, some corrective patterns, and a continuation up to break that top, as long as we obviously don't break this low over here. Both of these options are very probable. On Monday, at about 11 a.m., SPT is releasing their financial news or their financial statements for the year ending 2019. So I guess what their performance was like in 2019. So that would give rise to a lot of volatility within the market because people and investors are going to react to what's released during that webinar. Fundamentally, in regards to what the business is actually doing, SPT on the 31st of January partnered with Stripe, which is a global company that builds economic infrastructure for the internet, enabling SPT to streamline its merchant onboarding and enhance its merchant experience. On the 10th of February, they partnered, or they signed a new merchant agreement with Resident, an online retailer, which in 2018 reported 250 million sales and was one of the fastest growing within that country. This is awesome because if SPT is now being given access or provided to customers, which in total the $250 million sales, you could, I guess, assume that a good portion of them could start to use SPT as their payment plan, which would look very good in SPT's regard. In regards to the financials and cash flows, in the last 2 quarters, SPT has recorded negative cash flows, that being the quarter ending in December and September, with a total of 12.6 million. This, however, is partly counterbalanced with this 16.79 million of positive cash flow that they reported towards the start of the year in the quarter ending June 2019. So depending on how they present those, I guess, cash flows within their financial year 19 results, it could look extremely good in regards to future and what they've been able to do within the year, especially because SPT did come onto board in 2019. So within the space of a year, they've raised that much money. This has just completed the correction. And then releasing their financial statements this year could be an awesome reason as to why the market does become volatile again and starts to move up. That was the technical and fundamental reasons I will go through in this video. Please do your own research if you are looking to invest in this. I'm currently in, and I'm wanting to have this move to $2. Again, the first target will be a bit lower over here, and I'll reassess and probably post another video when the market does reach around here. But that's it for this video. Till next time, this is Zach from Trading Matrix, wishing you all a profitable time. Thanks, guys.